I knew this guy was a grifter and I knew he was shameless, but this guy's desperate for money. Look how shameless this is. How many shorts is this in one day? Oh my god. Okay, this is the first one day ago. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shorts in one day. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 videos in one day. 5 shorts and 6 videos in one day. When your content is this hollow and lacking of any genuine message or anything to really get from it, you're able to produce content at this sheer quantity. It's just let me actually tell you guys something. Back in the day, I used to be a fan of a little game called Pokemon Go. I got onto the train a little bit late because when the game came out, my phone had been broken by a coworker of mine. I was working as a lifeguard and I was 16 years old at the time, so I wasn't able to get into Pokemon Go until a few weeks after the game actually came out. But when it did come out, I was super into that shit. And I was always playing it. I was running around the neighborhood playing it. I was at like my job. When I'd be like on my break, I'd finish my lunch and I'd walk around the whole park because there were like 4 Pokestops and a gym there. So it was really, really high concentration of activity there. Lots of Pokemon to catch, lots of Pokestops to spin, stuff like that, right? I was super into the game. I was 16 years old. And part of being into a game for me is getting into content creators about a video game that I like. And the content creator that really just ended up falling into my lap, I guess you could say, that I ended up watching a lot of when I was a young, naive 16-year-old, was a YouTuber that went by the name of FSU ATL. Most of you probably aren't familiar with him, but this guy was actually like pretty big on YouTube back in 2016, back during the Pokemon Go era, and this guy would upload, if I remember correctly, like 4 videos a day about Pokemon Go, and it would literally just be him rambling about the same things, like speculating on when and what Pokemon might be added to the game in the future. But the thumbnails and the titles of the video would be like, I don't know, Mewtwo confirmed coming on New Year's Eve, Times Square. And the video is actually him, like, theorizing about, if they're going to add Mewtwo at the end of the year, and if it's going to, all that kind of stuff. And of course it didn't happen. It was always clickbait, but this guy would just pump out like 3 videos per day, so clickbaity and so shameless, and I was too young at the time to understand that I was being taken advantage of. This content was not providing any enriching value to me. I was clicking these videos in hopes that one of them was actually going to end up turning up some actual info about a true, real update coming to the game, but instead it was just a grifter that was taking advantage of a popular game, pumping out non-stop videos, taking advantage of the YouTube algorithm daily, multiple times a day, that really had no reason to exist. They were just clickbait, empty nonsense, and profiting off of it. And I'm sorry, but if you are a quartering fan and you are watching this content, you are no different than 16-year-old me. You are doing nothing but watching this empty, hollow content that was made by a neckbeard in his basement for no other reason than to farm clout and money off of your viewership, and you're completely falling into his hands. Nothing that he's saying here is like worthwhile political commentary. This is a guy who's ran with his tail between his legs from debates with me to Destiny to Vosh to plenty of other content creators. This guy is a fucking pussy. I'm sorry, but he doesn't stand for anything. The only thing he stands for is his wallet. And frankly, he sits for his wallet because that he streams. He sits in front of a fucking camera. So he doesn't even need to stand up to work. Now, the reason why I wanted to cover the quartering video is because he recently put out a video. God, I have to scroll back so far because this guy uploads so much. It's like, oh, he put out a video a few days ago. Let me scroll down for 5 minutes till I find that video. He recently put out a video called GTA 6 Gets Woke and Cuts Offensive Jokes first female protagonist in history to Grand Theft Auto 6. So I think you can see where this is going, guys. I guess there was some leak or rumor or just something along those lines that implies or claims, I haven't even kept up with it, that GTA 6 is going to feature a female protagonist. A Womexan protagonist. I know. How fucking horrible. How could they make video games political like this? And I think predictably, the quartering was going to get mad about this. Remember, these guys claim nonstop that it's not diversity that upsets them, it is forcing politics into media. The problem is, functionally, they're just saying that to get out of criticism and away from accusations of being racist or sexist or what have you. Because, well, if you ask someone like this, can you give me an example of non-woke, non-political, not forced diversity in recent media? I don't think they'd be able to name anything. I really don't think they'd be able to. Like, the only examples they tend to bring up are examples from movies that are like 30 years old. Like, they'll bring up Ripley from Alien, or they'll bring up Sarah Connor, or they'll bring up, like, I don't know, I can't even think, like, Angelina Jolie's Laura Croft character, or something. Like, I don't fucking know. They'll bring up, like, characters from 90s movies and stuff, or 80s movies, and it's like, so you don't believe that any inclusive media since the 90s has been non-woke? It's very bizarre. In reality, what the real problem is, well, let's make it very clear. I don't actually think that the quartering is mad about diversity in anything. I'm gonna say it. The quartering is too much of a grifter to care about any of this stuff. He knows what gets him clicks. He knows what makes him money. He's farming and milking you for cash, and, well, he's not exactly shameless or shameful about it. He kind of makes jokes about it in his videos, too. I don't really think his fans are... I think his fans kind of know, but at the same time, to them, it's just, I don't care. I just want to hear my opinions regurgitated into my mouth like a baby bird. Yeah, I just want to have the quartering, vomit my own opinions in a more messy, disjointed, and shitty way back into my own mouth, so that I can just stay in my little echo chamber like a little bitch baby piss boy and, never actually engage with new ideas. That's the average viewer of this guy. It's true.
Who doesn't love a little bit of the modern times infecting our video game culture?
Oh shit, how'd he do that? Do I need to get a soundboard so I can do that? Holy fuck. I don't even need to edit. Cherry wouldn't even need to edit anything. I'd just be able to click a button. I had to get something like that. I'm shit with audio stuff, though. I need to get someone that actually knows how to do that to help me.
I understand times change, people change, and having a female protagonist is what all of the lunatics will take from this video. Like, oh, the quartering's complaining about Grand Theft Auto getting woke because of a man. No.
So, to be clear, by the way, regardless of what the quartering actually complains about in this video, the vast majority of the people watching this video and agreeing with it, specifically, or at least watching it with the intent to just hear their opinion regurgitated and everything, absolutely take issue with the concept of a woman being the main character. That alone. I will never, ever, ever, ever believe these Gamergate dumbfucks when they say they don't actually care about the identity of the characters they play as, or frankly, the identity of the characters that are in these games. Because if you literally go back to the announcement, the announcement of The Last of Us 2, when they first showed that Ellie kissed her girlfriend in that trailer, the videos that flooded YouTube about how Naughty Dog went woke and how this is absurd were fucking insane. You think the craze and the insanity that was had over the golf club thing and Joel getting his brains fucking beaten out was bad? Oh my god. The anger over the lesbian kiss in the trailer between Dina and Ellie, made people fucking their heads exploded. There was a full-on like culture war on Twitter where you had people making their headline banner on Twitter, that screenshot of Ellie and Dina kissing, and then you also had like conservatives screaming about how Naughty Dog has fallen to the wokeness. Now, of course, The Last of Us 2 to this day is like a pretty divisive game. Now, it's not really for any reasons that have to do with wokeness. I'd say it's more so for story reasons. They probably should have made it so you could choose whether or not you kill Abby at the end of the game. I would have preferred that personally. Granted, I only watched a Let's Play of the game, but if I'd played through the whole game myself, I feel like I would have liked to have the choice. But Naughty Dog, they're the writers. They get to make the decision on how the game ends. And it seems like they wanted to set it up for a third installment, so who am I to say no? Anyway, the right got really mad about that game simply because of the presence of non-straight white male characters in it, and they claimed their very presence, and I'll admit there's a bit of a spotlight on their presence, though I don't really think it's a bad thing. They claim that there being a spotlight on the presence of a same-sex relationship in the game was in some way indicative of the idea that the writers of the game were forgoing good writing and making a good game, and instead were just going to virtue signal and just kind of cruise on the concept of the game being woke and selling it to a woke audience instead of making a good game. That's more or less, even if they don't outright say it, sort of the implication of their arguments, that in order to include progressive messaging in a game, or even just have diversity, this means that in some way the game must be compromised. Some compromise must have been made to the game's quality to include these progressive elements. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't hold together logically, but that's how these people think. They feel as though the games they enjoy are actually losing some value of enjoyment, some enjoyment value, just because there are progressive messaging in there. And it's not even racism necessarily a lot of the time, racism or sexism. It's not even that. Like, a lot of the people who think like this, I wouldn't even say are necessarily racist or sexist or homophobic or transphobic. A lot of them are. Don't get me wrong, a lot of them are. But not all of them are. A lot of them are just really fucking dumb, and they're like chuds. They're like the types of people who think, I don't have any problem with gay people as long as they don't do it around me, and they don't quite realize how that could be interpreted as being, an indication that you think gay people are bad or gross or lesser in some way. That kind of guy, like the kind of person that seems like they mean well, but they aren't quite hitting the mark. You guys know what I mean. You guys know exactly what I mean. That type of person. A lot of those people are watching quartering videos. The guy's popular. The guy knows how to game the YouTube algorithm. He's uploading this much for a reason. Me and my editor are fucking pushing to upload 2 times a day. This guy must have 3 editors. Well, I guess he doesn't stream. He can just sit down on his computer and just rant into the camera and then upload it as a pre-recorded segment. So I guess that does help with the upload frequency. But regardless, I mean, the guy's fucking pumping content out. A lot of people are watching him, and the vast majority of them are not just far-right lunatics. The majority of people that are watching this guy are just chuddy teenage gamer bros who think that their video games are getting worse because game development, like game studios, are focusing more on making gay characters and women characters and black characters instead of making good games. When in reality, if you actually want to look at what's really making video games bad now, it's the fact that more and more we're seeing these massive game publishers swallow up small studios and beloved studios and force their own artistic vision, which typically revolves around making more money, onto those games, and in many cases destroying the reputation of beloved franchises. How about we talk about publishers putting required due dates on game development, which results in games getting released after months and months of crunch time with shit tons of bugs, requiring patches for months before it's even playable. Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah, that's crunch culture. Yeah. Large part of why I love Hytale, by the way, is because none of these things are going to be issues with this game. Because Riot is not imposing their will on Hypixel Studios, so they don't have an issue to worry about with their publisher kind of fucking up the game's vision. And not only that, but they do not have a set due date. The game will come out when it is fucking done. Pretty rare for the gaming industry nowadays. And yet, for some reason, people get mad whenever they announce the game's going to get delayed because they're making it better. And then they say, this is going to be just like Cyberpunk. Because they're delaying the game to finish it instead of releasing it unfinished. Apparently. I don't know. Listen, I could rant about that all day. We need to not get stun locked or we will never, ever get back.
No. I actually don't care about that at all. Lots of women play GTA, and for women to have playable character, I think that's awesome. I, for one, am looking forward to female characters sticking it to all the corner workers and spending some time in cars with them and all that. I think that's going to be exciting. Seeing all the various fashion options my my fellow gamers will apply to the female
Bro. So I I feel it might be necessary to point out that the only time I have ever seen the quartering approve of women existing in media is when they are hypersexualized. I did forget. You know what? I take back what I said before. I take back what I said before about the quartering and people like him not having any examples of, say a strong female character that they like in modern day. There's plenty of strong female characters I bet they like. I bet they love, what's her name? From Bayonetta. I bet they love Bayonetta. I bet they love Lara Croft, you know? I bet they love, I bet they love a certain type of Overwatch content. You know what I'm saying? I bet they love a certain type of Overwatch content. Oh yeah, they're big fans of Widowmaker. Diva? Oh, they love those characters. They love those characters very. They keep those characters so close to their chests, close to their hearts. No, in all seriousness, these dudes legitimately don't see any value in. Okay, this is both true of real life and in media. This includes video games. Dudes, and I'm speaking generally here, dudes like this don't think women have any intrinsic value outside of sex object or trad wife or mother. If you're not one of those three things, if you're not a baby market, a trad wife like, homemaker, or a sex object, you are pointless to these types of dudes. Your existence is meaningless. You're not allowed to just be a female character who just exists. You're not allowed to be like a trans character that just exists. You're not allowed to be a gay character that just exists. You're not allowed to be a black character that just exists. It's not allowed. You have to, at least in his eye, I would bet, you would have to have a good reason to be there. I've unironically heard that before. I've unironically heard conservatives argue, or not conservatives, chuds, people like the quartering. I think I've heard the quartering himself argue this, that if you're going to have a gay or a trans character in a piece of media, there has to be a good reason for it. And it's like, does there have to be a good reason for a character to be straight, white, or male? Like, why can't they just be that? Just because that's their character, just cuz. Why not? And when you really think about it long enough, you realize it's because they inherently see LGBT people, or insert whatever marginalized group you want to, as being lesser.
playable characters, I think is great. 100% no problem.
Also, what he's doing here is he's going, oh, I'm really excited to see the outfits because, in GTA 5 at least, you can you can go into a lot of detail to, dress how you like. You do hair, makeup, clothes, all that kind of shit, right? So right now he's suggesting that if there's a female playable character in GTA 6, that he's excited to see all of the very no doubt sexualizing outfits that character would be put in by other players, so that he's making he's joking about when, yeah, that's his go-to. Yeah.
Problem with it,
You guys get it.
especially if it's organic. But it's the other stuff that they're already doing. Scaling back jokes. Oh my god. Thank goodness in a game where you end up, fighting against a local PD and getting a star.
Hey guys, I want to remind you, by the way, remember back when these guys were arguing, back during Gamergate, when these guys were arguing, if you want to make woke games, then make your own games. They'd respond to the BuzzFeed videos or the BuzzFeed articles and the lefty videos and all of that. They'd respond to anything that criticized currently existing games for not being progressive enough or not having enough representation. Their response to that criticism was always, if you want more progressive games, make your own games. Just make your own games. I have a feeling it wasn't about needing to make their own games. I have a feeling it was always about being against the inclusion and diversity in the media they consume. That's the one common factor.
Our level, because of how many of them you explodiate. Thank goodness there aren't any crass jokes in it. And this is only the beginning. Like, it's literally getting woke. And we're going to get right into that after a quick word from this video.
Oh, good. He's doing a sponsor. Gotta rake in the money. Jesus Christ. Oh, good. You can see he's wearing completely different clothes in his sponsored segment. How much of this video is sponsored? It's 10 minutes long. Oh my god. The video's 10 minutes long, and like a minute and a half of it is sponsored. And he uploads 6 videos a day and like 5 shorts a day. Probably 6 videos and 6 shorts a day, because it's not even the end of the day yet. Oh my god. Oh, good god. This guy is just raking in the fucking dough. If you are a viewer of this guy, you are getting milked fucking dry. You are a sucker. You are paying for this guy's retirement, his vacation house. Good god. Imagine cucking yourself this hard to make some loser living in his basement wealthy.
Everybody wins. Hey, I know you might not be in the market right this second, but keep that promo code in your back pocket. You can save some money. They're the tower that I use. They're the laptop that I use. And they're the ones that I recommend to friends and family. And I don't get paid to do that.
Oh my god, it's still going.
Hey, blue hairs, all right?
Oh, he's talking about the blue hairs, guys.
The laptop that I use. And they're the ones that I recommend to friends and family. And I don't get paid to do that. But I do really appreciate their company. Now, Grand Theft Auto 6 to have a female hero. Also, like I said, fine, okay, blue hairs, all right? Half-shaved head people. I don't care about that. Scale back spicy jokes. And then they're like, what? You can't enjoy? This is what... Now, I'm going to tell you, if you point this out...
Wait, one thing that I can never respect about people like this is because of their desire to make their content as advertiser-friendly as possible so they can make as much money as possible, because people like this are only in it for the money. Like, they won't even be honest in what they're responding to. They're scaling back spicy jokes. He won't even say racist or sexist jokes, which is what Rockstar said. When Rockstar comes out and says, we're going to be scaling back racist and sexist jokes, and they specify racist and sexist jokes in their statement, the quartering interprets that as, oh, they're just removing some spicy humor. They're going to cutesy it down. It's like, okay, GTA's been known for having some stuff in it in the past that maybe wouldn't fly so well culturally nowadays. Now, conservatives are, well, it's in their name, aren't they? Or isn't it? They're basically just conceptually against the idea of society progressing forward. The idea of certain behaviors or certain bigotries becoming less socially acceptable, there being, social consequences for their beliefs and for their actions and for what they say, that's the worst thing ever for them. Because they know that they don't actually have any real risk of losing their freedom of speech. When they say they're losing their freedom of speech, they're just bluffing. They're just they're trying to martyr themselves. They have all the freedom of speech in the world. What they're really losing are their platforms, and it's only when they're not careful enough about it. This guy still hasn't lost his platform, and yet he's gone on many rants about how LGBT people are groomers and whatnot. And YouTube definitely considers that hate speech. They don't care. This guy's making him a lot of money, and he knows that YouTube doesn't care, and yet he'll keep claiming that he's on the edge of getting banned by YouTube, as he has been for the last 3 years. The Quartering has literally said in numerous videos of the last 3 years that he's going to get banned from YouTube any day. So make sure to subscribe and watch his content, because who knows when YouTube's going to take him down. He literally plays into that whole like, oh, they're going to get rid of me. I'm just going to be gone one day. The only chance the Quartering is going anywhere is if he stops making YouTube enough money for them to see it as profitable, for them to have literal anti-LGBT and well, just generally like hate fuel content on their platform. YouTube doesn't actually care about this as long as it's making them money. Now, as for them toning back the jokes, if you are genuinely upset about this, I can kind of understand it. A lot of GTA's appeal, story-wise, if you're like a fan of the campaign like I am, at least when I played GTA 5, for me, was the satire. And it was very obviously satire. Obviously, a lot of people, well, pose law is a thing. And it's very, very, very real. A lot of people just don't recognize satire when they see it. They take it seriously and perhaps even emulate it and agree with it when you're meant to laugh at it and be like, wow, that's so crazy. I can't believe people think like that. GTA 5 has a lot of satire. All the GTA games do. And I would certainly be upset if some of the more edgy satire was absent from the next GTA game. It would certainly feel much less GTA-y to me. You know, like a big part of the Grand Theft Auto games is the irreverent satire of modern culture. And well, there is no reason to assume that Rockstar is going to put out a stinker here. All right? Red Dead Redemption 2 was a masterpiece of a game. Nobody could disagree with that. And it came out like 3 years ago. If you think that Rockstar was going woke and was going to ruin all of their future games, then, well, you're literally just pulling this out of your ass. You have no reason to believe it. There's no evidence that Rockstar has gone in any direction that would suggest that their new development strategy is going to result in the worst game. GTA 5 is great. Red Dead Redemption 2 is great. What was the last Rockstar game before that? Probably Red Dead 1. Bully is great. I can't really think of a bad Rockstar game that's come out in my lifetime. So, Red Dead Revolver was great. Was that even Rockstar, though? I don't think Rockstar even made Red Dead Revolver, though. But I played it on PS2.
This is going to be the reaction of people who will gaslight you. What? You can't enjoy your video games without racism? You can't enjoy your video games without sexism? This is how it works, right? And then what do you say?
Well, you're complaining about the artistic decisions being made by the creators of the media. You are no different than the very SJWs, or at least what you called SJWs, that back in the day would complain about lack of diversity in media. You are no different. You are trying to force your ideology and your worldview onto these artists, these creators, and you're basically falling into the same trap that the people you would have called SJWs 5 years ago did. They did indeed make Red Dead Revolver. Oh, well, there you go. Banger after banger after banger after banger. What can I say?
Well, no, I don't need these things, but and then you don't know how to respond. I like my favorite new response is, yeah, be offended.
You know what's crazy? This is actually really funny. We've had such a massive cultural jump since GTA 5 came out. Who remembers when GTA, who was it? GTA, I think it was GTA Vice City, maybe? The one that pissed off Jack Thompson. Or was it GTA 5? I think it was GTA 5 that pissed off Jack Thompson. Yeah, Jack Thompson was mad about GTA 5, wasn't he? When it was first announced? I feel like GTA 5 came out too late, though, for him to have been relevant. Was it a different GTA game he was mad about? Regardless, for those of you who don't remember, Jack Thompson was this conservative Floridian lawyer who fucking despised violent video games. It was GTA 4? Ah, I see. He despised violent video games. Very conservative guy, Christian, right wing kind of guy. And he claimed that they were corrupting children and yada, yada, yada. He ended up getting disbarred. He's a shamed conservative, ex lawyer now. And he tried to go on this fucking crusade against video games, particularly Grand Theft Auto. And this guy was just the face of it. The face of an entire conservative, like, wine mom movement against violent video games, most notably Grand Theft Auto. And it's so beautiful to watch. Now, over a decade later, as we come full circle, the right-wingers are back to being the prude little pussies complaining about the content of the next GTA game. Because really, I want to ask you, how is this any different than the boomer Republican lawmakers back in the day that would complain about the content of video games corrupting children? How is this any different? The people complaining about the progressive woke messaging in media. It's no different. It's the same shit all over again. They've just managed to repackage it into something that looks a little bit more cooler and edgier than a bunch of simpering little pussies complaining about, oh, but the children, oh, if the children play Call of Duty and they drop a big W in Nuketown, then what if they go to school and then they shoot up the school? It's the same fucking shit, right? And at the end of the day, it always leads back to political motivations, right? At the end of the day, conservatives tried to, pin violent, like things like school shootings on anything from comic books to heavy metal music to violent movies. And now, eventually, violent video games. They've always tried to scapegoat these things for a very obvious reason. It diverts attention from what they consider to be what they don't want people to be focusing on, which is things like, in the case of like school shootings, access to guns. They don't want people to be thinking or talking about that. So they say the real issue are the violent video games. Our kids are getting exposed to violence. It's corrupting them, and it's making them want to do violence in real life. They're just picking up a gun and shooting up their school. And people went with it. And now what's happening? What's happening now? Conservatives are mad about LGBT people existing. So now they're complaining about the existence of gay and trans characters in media, claiming it's corrupting their kids and it's part of an agenda and it's making their kids LGBT because it gives them license to engage in, I guess you could call, hey, little puppy, in what I guess they would consider to be retaliatory political violence against the LGBT community. Because they genuinely consider LGBT people existing publicly and being like allowed to exist and be on TV and like, God forbid, kids to be able to know they exist. They consider that to be violence being done upon them. And you know how conservatives feel about retributive violence, right? That they genuinely believe that LGBT people are a threat to their children. Not only that, but they believe that like abortion doctors and that the people that support abortion, etc., they've been brainwashed into believing that these people are threats to their children, that they are murdering babies. They're being brainwashed into believing that left-wingers and LGBT people, etc., are child raping, baby blood drinking murderers. What do you think the natural conclusion of that kind of rhetoric is? Justification of murder. If you can convince a broader population that a certain political group, or God forbid, a certain minority group, consists of child raping, baby blood drinking, go down the fucking list of things that the conservatives accuse left-wingers of being and LGBT people of being, most people are probably going to be cool with genociding the people they think all do these horrible things. That's how you convince people to be okay with a genocide. Now, I want to be clear here, because I know people like to get mad about this, and they get so triggered. I'm not saying a genocide's happening right now. I'm not even saying a genocide's definitely coming. What I'm telling you right now is getting people to believe that an entire group of people are a bunch of child molesting, murdering, baby blood drinking rapists is probably being done to dehumanize that entire group and open them up to, you know, some bad stuff that for society to be okay with it. You know, just maybe, don't you think? Maybe it's laying the groundwork just a little bit. I've had a lot of libs get mad whenever a lefty says I think that there might be, at least the right is at least trying to push for a genocide against LGBT people right now. They get really mad about it. But it's true. Hey, Pillow, how you doing?
Don't care. You could see a lot of the replies too. I'm glad a game where the point is to end the PD and rob banks is cutting back on these jokes.
Yep, can't lose that ad revenue off of your one out of literally 12 videos you upload every day, dude. Fucking pussy. I almost want to say a slur right now just so I can lose the monetization on this video for sure, just to show how much more integrity I have in this guy. I almost want to do it, but I won't, because I also want to keep my career.
Next one, which means it'll probably suck. So sad to see Grand Theft.
No, I can't say that when Emu ain't on. I would if I wasn't on Twitch. I would if I wasn't on Twitch. We can't say that slur. That's the worst of them, okay? There's no racial slur worse than that one. The history behind that word, oh my god. I've been to the word I can't say country before. They tell you all about it. I can't believe they banned that word on Twitch. We really are in a fucking different universe. Why is my nose itching so much? I'd like it to stop.
Theft Auto go woke. I was really hoping it would lean to the lunacy of the current clown world and they really have fun with it. I hope they get her pronouns right. I mean, like, prediction, lowest sales of a Rockstar Games GTA game ever. That's not going to happen. GTA 5 is a game that I would really, really love to play.
Hey, at the very least, he's not trying to claim that, at least he's not trying to do the GTA 6 is going to go broke thing. He knows that would be a really dumb thing to say. There's no way GTA 6, like, this would be like saying, let me give you an idea of how stupid it would have been for him to say that GTA 6 is going to do poorly because of this. It would almost be on the tier of saying, if they announced that Half-Life 3 was going to come out, and it was going to star, what's her name? Alex? A-L-Y-X, that character? They made kind of a Half-Life 3 that's like that, but not actually Half-Life 3. If they made a full-on Half-Life 3, but it stars that character, it would be as dumb as if the quartering said Half-Life 3 was going to flop because of that. When Half-Life 3 is possibly the most memed and anticipated game of all time. Like, legitimately. I don't think there's a more anticipated game out there other than Half-Life 3. Oh my god, my nose is committing a felony against me right now. Jesus. Oh my lord. You know what I'm doing after stream today? I'm taking a pair of tweezers and I'm plucking every single nose hair I have. All right? I'm going in there and I'm just going to go, and all of it's coming out. Like that scene in SpongeBob where Patrick takes the paintbrush with no hairs on it, and he just sticks up his nose and he twists it and pulls it out, and it's like it's huge ball of hair. You know, I'm gonna do that though with tweezers. It's gonna look exactly like that.
I downloaded it like forever ago when it was like on super sale from I think Epic Games. It was like free or something like that. I love Grand Theft Auto. And 5 has been out for a bazillion years, but it's also intimidating. Like, I'm like, oh, God, everyone's going to be so much further than me. Like, and I'm getting a new game.
Wait, has this motherfucker never played Grand Theft Auto 5? Fake gamer. Dude, let me just say, these dudes have always been fake nerd bros. They're never actually genuine in their claimed fandom. I remember, well, I do have some pretty big disagreements with them. Vadim Newquist, aka Creationist Cat, or formerly Creationist Cat, made a fantastic video responding to the Quartering, Geeks and Gamers, basically all of those fandom menace types, about the announcement of Thor Love and Thunder and about the storyline of the Mighty Thor, particularly in the comic. Now, regardless of how the Mighty Thor was received, which I actually watched it recently and thought it was not bad. It was like, oh, wait, this is better than the first two Thor movies, but it's just not as good as Ragnarok. And like, it's got some of the cringy dialogue every Marvel movie has. Why are people mad about this? Is it really just the CGI being bad that like pushed people over the edge with this movie? And like the CGI wasn't even that bad. I don't know. It was bizarre to me. Like I was so surprised when I watched the movie. Like, when's it gonna get bad? When's it gonna get bad? I feel like this is. Well, like I was watching the movie like actively, like on the edge of my seat, like I kept on hovering over the time bar. Like it's like when you're watching the finale of a TV show, like the season finale, and you're like looking at the time bar, like how much is there left in the episode? Holy fuck, this is almost over soon. Is there gonna wrap this up? You know, like if you've ever done that, I was doing that, but to check and see, oh fuck, my throat just started fucking itching like crazy. I hope I'm not getting COVID. This is usually how my throat feels when I start getting sick. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. Uh-oh, Pescettios. Let's hope it's just a throat itch and not me getting sick. And God forbid if I do get sick, it's not COVID. I've yet to get COVID, and I don't intend to. I am vaccinated as fuck. Stay safe, Zan. Well, I don't know if I can... Wouldn't it be too late if I did have COVID? I don't know. Let's watch this.
It's like 10 years old. I don't necessarily want to have that much catch up. But you see, literally, just refresh on my screen. Bloomberg says Grand Theft Auto will have a Latina female character for the first time in series history. This every time they put a woman in a video game, it's like, for the first time in history.
Wait, what is he responding to? Going after the blue-haired land whale market at the expense of everyone else who ever bought and enjoyed GTA. Rip GTA. This is literally this man's fan base, by the way. This is literally the Quartering's fan base. 257 likes. Going after the blue-haired land whale market. Dude. Is it not obvious what kind of audience is mad about this announcement? Is it not obvious what kind of audience is watching the Quarterings videos? It's people like, can you see this guy? This dude doesn't even look like he has fucking eyebrows. He looks like fucking Voldemort. And his hairline is like half in a, if his eyebrows were the equator, his hairline is like starts at the North Pole. You know what I'm saying? This motherfucker looks like he's 16 and 35 at the same time just from this image alone, and his hairline's receding, and this motherfucker's got the nerve to complain about the blue-haired land whale market. Guys like this are very good at exposing the fact they've never had sex on the internet. Zan bullying arc, I love it. Listen, I'm gonna be honest. The more that I do this job, the less patience I have for these people. Because, like, after you, like, you know, have suspicions, certain suspicions confirmed enough, you start to understand that you're probably right when you get that suspicion. Like, whenever I see a conservative type who's just shit-talking women, real, like, incel tough guy, like, not incel, like, real, like, dude bro tough guy type online, when their face or anything about their private life leaks, they have the most pathetic lives ever. It's just hilarious. They look exactly how you think they'd look every single time. And that's putting aside, like, the very common meme of, like, conservative types that are really, really, really outwardly anti-LGBT, and what ends up getting found out about them a lot of the time behind the scenes.
It's so cringe and dumb. If it fits a story, cool. Well, we don't need to worship it every single time.
There it is, dude. There has to be a good story reason for a female character to be in a game or a movie or whatever. A good reason for a non-white character. Good reason, a good story reason for a gay character. You have to have a reason to exist in this media, story-wise, if you are not a straight white male, for it not to be virtue signaling. They consider the existence of anyone who's not a straight white male in their media to be, or at least that has any level of prominence in the story, to be some sort of political statement, or at the very least like a imposing of their of political beliefs onto them. They literally never care if it fits the story. When it does, they call it woke. Yeah, of course they do. Like, literally the entire story of The Last of Us 2 was about Ellie and Dina and them, like, being together and them trying to protect each other and raise, like, a kid and stuff, and them having a family and all that. That was the driving force behind much of the story of The Last of Us 2. And yet they still got mad about the gay kiss. What's the common variable there? What's the common variable there? Oh, and the character Lev, the trans guy in the game, in The Last of Us 2. I forgot about him. There's a character in The Last of Us 2 named Lev who's trans. You don't really, like... It's never outright stated. It's heavily well, it is. It is outright stated, but not initially. You meet Lev, and he's like, I gotta get out of this fucking cult village, okay? You gotta help me out, all right? Get me the fuck out of here. And so Abby's like Kratos and is like, all right, boy, come with me. And you get out of there, and the cult starts hunting you, and they keep referring to Lev by a different name, and they keep misgendering Lev, and it's just like, that's really weird. Strange. Okay, well, I'll just keep on murdering them, I guess. And so you keep on murdering, you just keep on killing, as you want to do in Last of Us 2. Lots of killing in that game. And, eventually, Lev is just like, oh yeah, by the way, I just I don't really know what it is, but I'm trans. That's basically how it's presented. Like, well, there's no biology books or any internet anymore to explain this, but I guess I'm a guy. And Abby's just like, okay, it's the apocalypse. I don't care. Let's go, Lev. It was, like, very well done, I think. It wasn't, like, shoehorned into the face of the viewers, like, look, we got a trans character, super progressive, super left-wing. It was just kinda part of the story in a way that was, like, believable. Like, yeah, crazy cults, like crazy religious cults in the post-apocalypse wouldn't be big fans of trans kids. And there would still be trans kids in the post-apocalypse. Lev wasn't even marketed, by the way. Well, no, okay. It was announced that there would be a transgender character in The Last of Us 2 prior to it dropping, and then they revealed the character of Abby. People assumed Abby was trans when she's not, and in reality, the trans character was a trans guy who's literally a kid in the game named Lev. So that should really go to show just how good these conservative types, when they drum up these big moral panics over news like this about any game or anything, how bad they are at judging what's going to happen with things like this. You know what? Maybe it might actually be a good idea, before you judge a thing, to wait for it to come out and to hear what people who've actually played it, or God forbid, play it yourself, and then make up your own mind on it. Like, not only is there this big problem with people deciding whether or not they're going to hate a piece of media before it comes out because their favorite YouTuber tells them to, but even afterwards, I feel like right now, whether or not the world likes a movie is determined based on the first initial reaction to it. I feel like if people came out of Infinity War and, like, the first big public figures to talk about the movie came out of Infinity War and said that movie sucks shit, it was horrible, how disappointing, everybody would have jumped on the bandwagon, and anybody saying otherwise would either feel pressure to get bullied into falling in line. 100%. I really do feel like the first, like, couple hundred people to come to the internet and post their opinion of a movie or a game or whatever are the first people to decide what the publicly, socially acceptable opinion on that thing is allowed to be. It's just, I've seen it. I swear to God, it's real. If you disagree, say so in the comments.
I hope this whole means cops will let me go, because if I play as a minority criminal, you could.
I like how he skipped the comment there from probably one of his own fans. That's literally that's not what I expect. Is he just gonna read comments from random people that are just complaining about it?
Dumb move. GTA was the last bastion of hope. I bet it doesn't do as well as 5. It will, I'm sure. Never played it, but I imagine that means she'll have pronouns and the game will suck. Grand woke off.
Chat. How do you... It's not even reason. It's not even reasoning. How do you debunk talking points coming from somebody who doesn't even understand the English language? Now, I'm not saying this in a like, this would be a whole other story if we're talking about someone where English is their second language. We're talking about someone who English is their first language. They've been on this earth at least twice as long as I have, and yet this motherfucker... Oh, God. People this stupid, who have this weak of a grasp of reality, are the ones who are controlling a lot of policy making across the country. I want you to remember that, guys.
Otto, thanks, Biden. Like, all these, and like, the fact that they're coming out and saying this tells you that it's like been a big deal to them. The next installment of GTA video game series will have the first ever female protagonist in history. And
hey, guess what? Do you guys want to know something? They also announced that GTA San Andreas was going to have the first ever black protagonist in a GTA game. They did. I actually, there's a YouTuber by the name of Epic Mealtime, Harley, a very famous YouTuber. He told a story once recently on the PKA podcast, Painkiller Already podcast. And let me just say, this is not a left-wing podcast by any fucking means, okay? And yet, Harley went on to tell a story about when GTA San Andreas came out. And he was working at GameStop. When the game came out, he had dozens upon dozens upon dozens upon dozens of customers coming in, mad at him, demanding that he explain to them how to make their character white. They were enraged and wanted their money back because they didn't know the main character was going to be a black man. So they'd be either screaming they want their money back, they want to know how to make their character white, they want to know if there are cheat codes to make their character white. They were mad. They were fucking mad, and they came in by the dozens. Now, let me just say, this Harley guy, I mean, he's not like a right-winger or anything, but he's certainly not some left-wing, like, political guy who has reason to lie about this. He was just casually telling a story about when he worked at GameStop when he was younger. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. This is the same level of moral panic. The quartering is no different, and honestly, probably was one of those same guys who walked into the fucking GameStop, what, like 22 years ago now, when GTA San Andreas came out, and complained to the guy at the cash register, "Wait, you're telling me there's no white main character I can play as? I have to play as a black guy? I want my fucking money back." You know that happened, if he did even get that game. Hey, reminder, by the way, the quartering was, like, exiled from the entire the Magic the Gathering community and is now banned from, like, all of the official events for Magic the Gathering hosted by, like, the company that runs it due to sexual harassment. Just thought I'd throw that out there. He was completely disgraced and became a right-wing YouTuber after all of that. He basically got Me Too'd and then, like, fell into doing this, and he's gotten very successful at it. That is his literal backstory. So that's the kind of guy we're talking about here. Real creepy, weird, just kind of loser kind of guy, you know?
and scales back its use of offensive humor. Again, like I said, be offended. Particularly jokes aimed at minority groups, according to a report. By the way, I'd be 100% fine with jokes at the expense of white people. Like, I don't understand that. Like, as long as this is like the whole, like, Dave Chappelle skit stuff. Like, as long as you roast people equally and it doesn't feel like mean-spirited or whatever, then I think you could poke fun at, races and different, stereotypes. They're funny. But as long as you do it evenly across the board and you're not, like, targeting one more than the other, because then it gets a little weird, The game will take place
If I said okay, Ceasler to this man, he would melt and piss himself and shit himself and vomit and possibly even cum. Sad cum, not happy cum.
I'm sorry, the characters will be inspired by Bonnie and Clyde. Bloomberg reports Wednesday the game will take place in a fictionalized version of Miami and South Florida. According to the
Let's fucking go! Let's go! Let's fucking go. Sorry. I hoped my ideal hope was for a sequel to GTA 5, like a direct sequel. I would have liked a next gen Los Santos, continue the story of, honestly, I think Franklin would have probably been like the main character if they did a sequel, and like have him meet up with new characters, get into a new story. I don't know. I feel like GTA 5's ending felt like Franklin's story was beginning. Like it just kind of, the ending felt like that, or I don't know. Maybe it was always meant to be its own self-contained game, but I kind of feel like I feel like they were setting up more for these characters at the end of GTA 5. It didn't feel like they're saying goodbye to each other forever and they're riding off to the sunset. It felt like well, I'll see you again next time. And like, them leaving until next time. It didn't feel like a goodbye forever, but anyway, I think I want San Fierro. I don't know. I think if a next-gen Vice City should be pretty pog. I mean, I've been to Miami many times. I grew up in Florida. I'm a Florida man. So, I can't say I'm too mad about this.
The report, the last Grand Theft Auto game was to take place in is a fictionalized Miami was 2002's Vice City. GTA 6's developers are also reportedly abandoning the series' record of making crude and potentially offensive jokes about minority groups. The developers are being cautious not to punch down. Are you saying that black people can't take jokes? That seems
We're getting the classic, the left are the real racists, guys. Did you guys know it is actually racist to not call black people the N-word? Because by not doing that, you were implying that if you did do that, then black people wouldn't be able to take the joke. Because, of course, these guys think that saying the N-word is a joke. Just on its own. Like, what the fuck kind of logic is this? It's literally, this is more of a stretch than the I didn't pay attention in high school history class, and so I'm going to try to claim the Democratic Party founded the KKK and supported slavery. Yep, the lefties are in favor of slavery in the KKK. They say while wearing their Confederate flag shirt with their Confederate flag on their house and their Confederate flag on their truck and their Confederate flag over their bed and their Confederate flag and great granddad's Confederate jacket up in the fucking display case.
Seems racist to me. Are you saying that Asian people can't take jokes? That seems racist to me.
Okay, let's talk about edgy humor, all right? What is punching down, all right? Punching down when it comes to humor is the idea of somebody who is in a position higher. Like, for example, let's say if George Carlin, wealthy, straight white man, went up on stage every day and just complained about how much he hates poor people. Just those fucking poor people, those homeless people always on the street, get them out of here, send them to the meat grinder. Like, if that was his humor all day, it was nothing but shitting on people that are generally of a lower socioeconomic status than him, that generally just have it broadly rougher than him. That would be punching down. Dave Chappelle, for example, for a very long time was against punching down. Dave Chappelle on racial humor is pretty damn based. He's not bad on that kind of stuff. However, he's very, very stupid when it comes to anything having to do with identity or with sexuality. He genuinely believes that gay and trans people are basically white people trying to feel and look as oppressed as black people. That's really the core of his message. It's not humor, it's more of a lecture that he goes up on stage and gives to the audience that they're all meant to agree with. That's not humor. That's not a comedy routine. That's more of a lecture. Now, don't get me wrong, there is humor that's like meant to make a point, but his humor isn't just jokes that are meant to be laughed at. He's trying to convince people of an ideology, of a very harmful political ideology, an incorrect one that can very easily be torn apart when it's not protected by the very pussy-ass, spineless defense of, it's just a joke, don't take it so seriously, nothing we say is serious unless no one is scrutinizing what we're saying. Like, listen, conservatives, everything they say is serious when it's in their YouTube videos and they're saying it to their audience and they're making money off of it. Everything they say is a joke when they're in a call with a lefty and it's time to actually talk about that stuff. Follow that rule and you'll be able to tell how conservatives think about 99% of the time.
Previous Grand Theft Auto games stoked controversy both for their spicy content and their use of humor that critics said was phobic. Okay.
Gotta make that money.
Be offended. Now, it's still a long time away, and 2 Rockstar employees quit the company's Edinburgh office due to frustrations about the game's slow development, according to Bloomberg. The game's slow progress is partially due to the changes that Rockstar Games implemented to improve employee working conditions after reports emerged of excessively long work hours and a, quote, frat boy culture, according to Bloomberg.
I forgot the courting was opposed to the exposing of Blizzard and all these game companies for like the sexual harassment and like the mistreatment of women. I forgot he was in favor of the sexual harassment. I forgot. Do you remember when we covered the young rip of it? That was one of those things where like conservatives came out on YouTube just strongly pro sexual harassment. It was wild. So for those of you guys that don't know, Blizzard and a bunch of other game companies got in trouble, but particularly Blizzard got sued by the state of California for just rampant sexual harassment that was happening to women in their workspace. It is just a rampant issue in the gaming industry. It is well known. It has been well talked about. However, people like the Quartering, who is himself a known sexual harasser, who completely got not disbarred, but completely kicked out of the Magic the Gathering community by the official, like the company that made Magic the Gathering, Wizards of the Coast, I think it's called. Or is that the D&D one? I don't remember. The people that make up Magic the Gathering have banned him from the official events because of his, sexual harassment of fellow MTG players. So of course he would be on board, along with like other conservative content creators like Young Rippa, who were like, "Oh, frat boy culture. Oh, what were they, slapping girls' asses? Oh, come on, get over it." Yeah. These people don't give a shit about women being sexually harassed or kids getting groomed or anything like that. These people don't give a shit about consent as a concept. There's a reason why they don't ever make any videos or talk about the rampant problem with child marriage there is in this country that is being perpetuated. I think the kitty is hungry. I will feed you in just a second, baby. I gotta finish this segment. That is being perpetuated largely by fucking conservatives. Can I please finish the segment? Can I please? Come on, kitty. Come on. Can I? My cat, she screams like a dying baby. She screams like a dying human baby. Let's wrap up this segment.
Bloomberg. Rockstar Games, which is owned by Take-Two, did not immediately respond. This on top of, you see this, women who love Grand Theft Auto reveal how GTA 6 can fix their past. I mean,
don't want to read any,
right?
Don't want to read any of this. Wouldn't want to expose you or your audience to any ideas you don't agree with, right? Who knows? Maybe they'll make a good point that you actually can't argue against. Like they did there, where they showed an image of a character that's like canonically like 17 years old. Isn't that character literally Michael's 17-year-old daughter? Isn't she like literally like underage in that game or something? It's been a while since I played through the story, but like, isn't it implied that like what's her name, like Stacy or something? It's some very basic white girl name. That Michael's daughter is like she's in high school. Yeah, like at best she's a senior who's 18, but like regardless, it's super fucking weird and creepy. And I know that it's satirical. It's very obviously satirical. It's meant to do. She's a porn. No. She's not. I remember the game. Like the commentary it gives is on like the idea of like young girls getting the daughter's called Tracy. I was close, okay? I knew it was close to Stacy. All right. Like she I thought like her whole arc is like commentary about young girls getting pushed into like over sexualization and everything at a young age before they're really like fully grown up and realize the consequences of their actions, while at the same time Michael is being this over the top insane dad, stereotypical insane violent dad in response to this, who's going too far. And then Laszlo, I think his name was, the creep is like this creepy executive who's like, yeah, maybe you do something for me and I do something for you. Like it's very clear that GTA 5 was like satirically calling out several tropes there, but at the same time, what is the issue with them acknowledging where some of the presentation here could possibly go over people's heads as far as it being satire?
Men are so fragile. Wait, are you?
Let's just watch this bit. Let's just watch him respond to this girl making fun of dudes complaining about this game, saying men are so Let's watch him fragilely respond to this girl calling him fragile.
Are you? This is the thing. This is Kelly's response, right? In January, rumors spread. People were making jokes about it. Almost all the player base is male. We don't want to play as a woman. A mission having us do house chores. No thanks. They're just jokes. All right.
I love it. They're such pussies. They're such spineless pussies. Oh my God. So this is the beautiful dichotomy that the right has built for themselves online for their propaganda. Everything they say, when it's well packaged and it has the dog whistle going and it's not overt hate. They're serious. This is genuine political messaging, so on and so on. But the second the mask comes off and what all of that dog whistling actually means comes out, now all of a sudden it's something either between that person's a fed or they're just jokes. They're just jokes. They're just jokes. Don't take any of them seriously. They're just jokes, but actually they're pretty true and based if you really think about it. But they're just jokes, so you can't criticize them, but they're also really true and based, and you're just triggered over the truth. But also they're just jokes, and you can't take them seriously. You can't argue against them, or you're triggered, and you're a triggered lefty who's taking jokes too seriously.
And by the way, I think, having, again, options of plays either one is totally fine. And like it's not like women don't play video games, especially GTA, where they have the whole like RP scene, which was really popular. But then Kelly whines about sexism with more sexism. Lamau men are so fragile. GTA 6 female protagonist rumors lead to users leaving mean remarks on Twitter. Meg Turner, lol.
Dude, this is literally a guy who bitches and complains about how he's a martyr for getting canceled all the time on Twitter. This is a guy who is literally bitching and complaining that Keffels was harassing him. Is this not the man who's been melting down for like a month over Keffels on Twitter? How is this guy making fun of women complaining about harassment on Twitter? These people literally are the definition of throwing a stone from a glass house.
Oh, this is why I'm glad I don't report gaming news anymore. Why? Because you can't take a joke? You're the one that seems fragile. Oh, man makes teenager makes joke about get back in the kitchen. I'm just destroyed. I can't possibly handle it.
Imagine imagine this guy back during the civil rights movement responding to like a Martin Luther King speech. Like MLK's like we have serious injustice in this country. We need to expose this to the public. It must be dealt with. Um, I can't say the exact words that were considered PC back then, but black people all across this country are being treated as less than second class citizens. It is a absolute, it is unacceptable. So just imagine like what a civil rights speech would be like back then. There were many. Um, and then you've got the quartering, like live quartering reaction, like, huh. See, you think black people aren't brave enough and strong enough to deal with having it a little bit tougher? Sounds a little bit racist if you ask me. No, we've actually reached the level of conservative argumentation once again, just like back in the Gamergate days when they claimed the left are actually racist for I guess like belittling minorities for because defending them. Do you guys remember that talking point that like white lefty types were actually the real racists because them engaging in anti-racist or whatever rhetoric was actually them belittling minorities? Do you remember that talking point? It's concern trolling is what it is. It's actually virtue signaling, the very thing that the right likes to accuse the left of doing, only it's trying to, it's an attempt to using it against somebody that they think it would actually have some effect against. They think they can convince people, you see, lefties that are watching this lefty figure is actually the real racist because wanting to improve the state of this country for marginalized people is actually belittling to those people because that's implying they can't handle it. Time is a flat circle.
Like, are you kidding me? I think that it would be foolish in a lot of ways to expect modern video game culture to not bend the knee to this kind of PC. We can't offend anybody, well, except for one particular, white males you can make a lot of fun of.
Didn't he just say he has no problem with making jokes about white people? How do you complain about racist jokes against white people in the same video in which you say that minorities are getting too uppity and because they want to be in video games too much? And they want to have less offensive humor in those games. Do you not see? Does not a single viewer see what's going on here? No, of course they don't.
You can insult them. You can make them the bad guys in these video games, but anybody else you can't do. White females are getting pretty close though too, so look out, ladies. And again, I don't understand what the.
You're not allowed to make any character that's not straight white male a villain without getting canceled. What are you fucking talking about, dude? Are you not literally making the argument that there isn't enough diversity in media right now? Wait, he's actually I feel like through a roundabout way, he's actually arguing that the only acceptable presentation of marginalized people in media would be for them to be villains. GTA 3 literally had a Latin woman as the villain. I'm sure there are millions of examples, literally millions of examples that would debunk everything that he is saying right now. The quartering has never said a true thing in his life. If he said the sky was blue, it would turn purple spontaneously in the sky because he is incapable of making a true statement. That is how stupid and wrong he is. He is ontologically wrong.
The problem is, As long as you're roasting everybody equally, what's the problem?
The fucking
The more you pretend.
Metal Gear Solid 3 where the main villain is the fucking is the boss who's literally a woman who has her boobs out. Just big old cleavage in your face as she beats your ass in a field of flowers.
Pretend that there aren't differences or stereotypes or people really making these types of jokes in real life, which they do. The stupider your quest to stop.
Wait, is he trying to do the there should be racist jokes in these games because people make racist jokes in real life? Is that are we going back around to the it's unrealistic for a video game? It's unrealistic for a video game to not have racist remarks and jokes. This is like a 5-year-old thought. Not really. This is more like a 10-year-old thought. This is like when I'd be like 10 years old and I'd be watching The Walking Dead and I'd be like, I'm 10 years old and even I know that these characters be dropping F-bombs every 10 seconds in real life. Like, the TV censors are keeping these characters from engaging in the same vocabulary that they actually would in real life. I'm sorry. I drop F-bombs every 2 seconds in real life. If there were zombies trying to kill me, you better fucking believe I would be like, oh, fuck, every time one came out of a bush unexpectedly or something, you know? And that doesn't really happen in The Walking Dead except for once a season when they're allowed to say it. Like, what are you fucking talking about, dude? You see, it would be unrealistic for there not to be a certain type of language in this game because in real life, people talk this way. What? What? That is not how media works. Have you ever watched a movie or a TV show before? Characters don't talk like they do in real life in media, even. Like, I feel like the closest I've ever seen to dialogue that sounds real, I guess you could say, would be like, Quentin Tarantino movies. I'm not talking about the constant use of the N-word, by the way. I'm talking about just normal conversations between characters in a Quentin Tarantino movie typically feel really real. Like, it's just like, you could kind of imagine somebody just kind of took out a camera and, like, recorded some people talking, and they aren't acting or anything. Like, I don't know. Yeah, like, movies and TV shows, it's very easy to, like, once you've watched a lot of movies and TV shows and played a lot of video games, you can almost finish character lines sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how a character, like, you can almost always finish a character's line because you know how they have to say it, because saying it in any other way wouldn't be cinematic enough for a TV show or a movie or a video game. So you kind of know exactly what they're going to say because it has to sound good and poetic and like it was written in a script. You know, like, come on. This is just basic media analysis. What are you talking about?
All mean jokes gets and sounds, doesn't it? Now, I'm sure there'll be a lot of news around GTA 6, and it's been a while since I covered video games. It just hasn't been a lot that I want to, that it's been exciting to me. But, you know, I'll.
Xander Hall, sort of how there's a huge disconnect between how Japanese is spoken in anime versus actual Japan, or how Japanese is spoken on Japanese TV and how people in Japan speak. From what I've seen, Japanese television is super, you ever see a Morgs video? Where it's like, what's up, guys? Welcome to the video. I'm giving away a free gift card. Make sure to leave a like. Keep watching the video. We're gonna be staying the night with 24 hours in a underneath my mom's van. It's like, imagine that. But it's all in Japanese. That is Japanese television, from my understanding. It is apparently fucking awful. I have talked to people that live in Japan, and they have said Japanese television is fucking awful. It's so fucking bad. It's like watching a Morgs video, but in Japanese. Remember when Morgs killed his mum? That was the comparison I had made. by my friend who's Japanese and lives in Japan. She said it Japanese television is like a morgues or like one of those clickbait YouTuber types. It's like super in your face, just in Japanese. It's like it's very much what's the word for it? It's very corporate. It's very, very, very corporate. Is my understanding. It's like it feels like there's a gun to the heads of every actor telling them, "You better fucking sell whatever this is. You better make this entertain." Nobody's clicking off of this fucking show, okay? If anyone clicks off, then we kill one of your family members. It's like it feels like that's what the studio executives are doing. That's what I've heard. Spot on Morg's accent, though. My impression was perfect. Okay, we've stunlocked too much. Is this the end of the video? Are we done listening to the Quartering's voice?
I still cover video games on this channel, so if you were entertained by this video, please make sure you click that red subscribe button down below. I'll be following this story and others undoubtedly. I hope you enjoyed this video.
Hey, chat, if you like big titties in video games, like my video, subscribe, and ring the bell icon. Do all of the YouTube things that make my channel go pew into the stratosphere. Do all those things. Perhaps even donate, subscribe, or gift a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me on YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, StreamElements, or Patreon. And maybe, if you're an extra big Xanderholic and you want to see more from me on the internet, consider perhaps even going down to the description and following my social media, especially my Twitter, where all the spiciest memes happen. With all that said, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and have a good one.